take effect at major U.S. grocery stores. More on the egg price. If you think the egg prices are too much, don't eat them. Don't buy them. The Education Department cancels $100 million in DEI grants at the hands of DOGE. So yes, DOGE is effective in finding waste. And we also have The View co-host urging Democrats to ambush the airwaves over Trump. So now we're calling for full-scale civil unrest, and the left seems to be not happy with some of their different flaws and different, I would just say, scandals probably being uncovered. So now they're going to take it to the streets like Cory Booker and Maxine Waters wanted to say. They don't want to be found out on how Nancy Pelosi had a 67% historical return on her trading and now is worth over 9 figures being a congresswoman. So with that, we'll turn it back over to you, JB.
Wow, Son, I appreciate that, man. You can always count on you to give a biased point of perspective.
Oh, because Tira's 7-minute super biased monologue was, oh my goodness. Anyways, but I'll be here tonight.
Well, Marty, if you had anything to say, I presume you would have said it. You weren't available to do your own monologue.
It's okay. I have plenty to respond to. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm sure you were busy not reading the news or listening.
Absolutely. Marty Bird, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm loving it. How you doing?
I'm on top of the world, my friend. I'm on top of the world, my friend. And yeah, bro. You know what else is on top of the world right now, bro?
Huh?
Debate the news, man. we are charting. We are charting, guys. And it's all thanks to everyone that's here present right now. This big family that's here on all these platforms that's listening to us, as well as our new family that's joining us from Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, as well as all the other platforms. Overcast is doing really, really well. Where a lot of people listening on Overcast. So yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm excited. Daphne, Christian, how you doing?
I'm amazing.
Oh, have you been listening to a lot of our episodes on your device?
I'm on both devices right now. I have a little bit of an echo. Let me move one of them. Come back.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's jump right into it, man. So obviously Elon is at the White House, okay? And for Elon to show up at the White House and do a joint conference with Trump in the Oval Office, there has to be some pressure from some Republicans. There has to be some behind-the-scenes pressure from the Republicans or someone, because they're trying to get in front of something, guys. Listen to me. There's no such things as coincidence in politics. I'm sorry. There's no such things as coincidence in politics. So when we, what I would like to do is, we have several people here. As I said earlier, Elon showed up and Trump did an EO, pretty much ordering the head of all of the different departments to cut costs drastically. And he said that Elon has already saved American taxpayers billions of dollars, and they spoke about trillions and savings. The CFPB guys, they get the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're trying to get rid of that department, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, as a banker myself, all right, I'm in the mortgage industry. I freaking hate that department. Okay, I hate it. I hate it because they don't allow for any shortcuts, and it protects consumers. As much as I despise that department, I don't want it to see it go away. USAID, once again, they brought that department to my attention. I've seen it over the years. Didn't really care too much about what it did. All of a sudden, it's become a big story. So, but DOGE, is those are two departments. The Department of Education is another department that they're looking to get rid of. Guys, it's a little scary, a little frightening. But like I said, maybe that change is good. I don't have a crystal ball. Every piece of intelligence in me tell me this is going to be pretty damn bad, but it may turn out to be pretty damn good. So hey, like I said, they told FedEx, the creator of FedEx, that overnight delivery wasn't feasible. It's going to be bad. Turned out to be one of the biggest brands in the world. So with that being said, what I want to do is I I want people to I want to jump in. I want to start the conversation right away. I want to go with people who agree with this. I want to go to someone that agrees with what Trump and Elon's doing. Who's there? Who wants to jump in? Who wants to speak about this? Feel free to unmute your mic. Let's go.
Man, first and foremost, Trump and Elon, I am 100% in agreement. I'm not going to take up too much time. I'll let somebody else go. But I'm absolutely with it. DOGE, let's figure out where this government spending has been going. Department of Education, I'm not entirely with just completely abolishing it, but it definitely could use some revision in and of itself. And Elon showing up to the White House and him and Trump doing a joint briefing, that ought to let you guys know, hey, guess what? Trump's on board, Elon's on board, and they're taking this thing by the horns, and they're going to figure it out. Now, not everything, like I said, not everything am I in agreement with, but I'm with it. But let me pass this on. I know Storm's going to say something probably to agree with me in some shape or form there.
All right. So
apparently he's not.
Apparently, right down, Storm.
That was a really good segue. It didn't work at all. Listen, let me ask you something. All you people are supporting Trump and DOGE. Why is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau bad? As far as I can tell, it was set up in response to the 2008 financial crisis. It has returned money to consumers. It has kept banks from doing predatory lending. So explain to me why that is bad.
I'll jump in on the CFPB. So I think it's going to come down to more of a question pertaining to effectiveness and the cost of their current effectiveness. And here's an example. So in my profession as well, we utilize the CFPB. And we've had multiple cases, and it's just in my office, so I'm sure there are more, where reports are made to the CFPB showing blatant violations from lenders. And not only are they often ignored, sometimes we get phone calls on these cases years later, well after a foreclosure, well after the homeowner has already suffered. And so I would say that I definitely agree with what Elon and Trump are at least attempting to do. And that, we got to take them at face value, right? Which is going in there and seeing the effectiveness of an agency versus the cost of that. So I'll leave it with that.
So Diana, so they're basically talking about just getting rid of it, right? They had a budget of $823 million. They have returned about $20 billion to consumers. And it's not like Trump is saying, let's make it more effective or costless. He's just saying, let's get rid of it. So why is that a good thing? Why is it not a good thing to say, let's make it a little more effective or something like that?
Well, because we don't, I think we don't know what's the next step, right? We don't know. From my perspective, sometimes it is easier to get rid of an organization and create another one, right? I'm not sure that this is a play to get rid of absolutely everything and not put anything in place that's more effective. Do you think that that's what they're trying to do?
So I know that the CFPB was in Project 2025, and it advocates for its dissolution. It did not, as far as I know, ask for something to replace it. So it seems to be just that they want to get rid of it at this point, and nor have I heard anyone say, let's replace it with a better agency. So I think you're, let's just say, I think you're giving an awful lot. You're actually expanding what they've said. You're making an assumption about what they're doing, and you're adding things to things they've already done, which they have not said they're going to do.
Well, so look, I'll pass it to Marty, back to Marty or Jonathan after this. But let me tell you this: if I'm making assumptions based off of a press conference that we just all heard, where not only are they welcoming scrutiny, Elon basically said you can stay in there with your scrutiny the entire time if you like. But if you think that I'm assuming, I think you're assuming on Project 2025, because that's something that we still haven't debated here as to whether or not it is going to be a good idea or bad idea within its different segments, right? I'm looking for, so I'll pass it. Oh my God, that's Jonathan. He's going to kill me. I'll pass it back to you.
All right. I got something.
One second. because I got to go to Dr. Wade. But oh my God, we do have to have a Project 2025 room.
That's a fact.
Yeah, we definitely got because. Yeah. If let's just say that if the man ran away from it during the election and said, "No, that's not mine," I have no. But all of a sudden, now he's in. If he didn't want anything to do with prior to election, and now you guys have said it's good. You guys have all been brainwashed. So now I'm gonna go to Wayne Wonder. Wayne Wonder, let's go, man.
Yeah, the problem that I see, and on the research that I've found with the CFPB is mainly that, let me tell you exactly some of the challenges.
And I agree that this is gonna be good.
And I'm hearing you. Okay, so basically, for one, I agree with it being cut. For one, it's a part of it's a part of Dodd-Frank. So basically, it's meant to protect consumers, but it has significant flaws. One, lack of accountability. Two, because it's led by a single director. Two, overregulation, which hurts consumers. Political bias and weaponization. Regulatory overreach, ineffectiveness, and harmful policies. And also legal and constitutional challenges.
Wayne, it sounds like you're reading something. It doesn't sound like this is coming from you. So, did you chat GPT that, or did you go to Gronk? No, you probably went to Gronk knowing you. You look like a Gronk man.
Those are the bullet points which we got to bring up, because when Tara talks about something, she makes it seem as if that Trump is crazy and he doesn't know what he's doing, and these departments are not doing anything wrong. If it's led by a single director, we already have an issue. One person's running the damn department, but they're complaining about Trump and Elon running the Treasury now and stepping in where they're saying there's no oversight. He's not assigned by anybody. He's doing his own thing. So that same thing applies to having one person leading this department. That's an issue.
It's not anymore, because what you don't know, let me know, I gotta take this. Wayne, you didn't know anything about the lawsuit and you just sort of Googled something or went on AI or whatever you did. This is unfortunate because the Supreme Court in 2020 ruled that the structure featuring a single director that only the president could remove for cause violated the separation of powers. So what they basically said is now this person can be removed by the president, which takes care of all of your problems, I assume. So you didn't really understand that. Now, there was another question about its funding mechanism, but the Supreme Court upheld that. It doesn't really have any current constitutional challenges that I'm aware of. Maybe you can point me to one that the Supreme Court is considering, but I'm not aware of that. So when you said it has significant challenges, you didn't actually know the facts, which is unfortunate. Number two, in 2025, basically Russell Voigt, who is now the director of the Office of Management and Budget, said, let's just get rid of it. It's terrible. It's an awful agency. It's unaccountable. If you think it's unaccountable, fine, but it has basically laid out what it's done. Just like Elon Musk says, he's going to just lay out things. That's an easy fix, right? That's not even a problem. I really don't think you have if you have specifics about the agency, I would appreciate that.
Let me add one thing to that, Tara.
No, one second, because she asked Wayne a question, and Wayne, did you research it? Did you Gronk anything to respond to her yet? Or you need more time?
Jonathan, he said, did you Gronk anything? Okay, the legal constitutional challenges, and she knows this. CLAW LLC versus CFPB 2020. You want to talk about that, Tara?
I already did. I said the Supreme Court said that the single director's only removable by cause was a problem, but it's been changed now, right? So basically the president can remove, and I believe has removed, the director, right? So that's no longer a constitutional issue. And then in terms of the funding mechanism, there was another case, I cannot remember, where they said it was okay, the way they were funded was okay, because people have been challenging this agency, and so it's come up a couple of times in the courts. So what is your actual problem with the current structure? Because now the director can be removed at will by the president, which I assume was your problem to begin with. Many agencies have a single director. That in itself is not an issue, right?
Well, it's still having ongoing legal challenges, Tara. So,
and what are they? Be very specific.
Why? Hey,
He's
gonna grant something for you. He's gonna go grab an X post.
Jonathan, it's Gronk, not Gronk. Gronk was a football player.
Gronk, whatever, Gronk.
God bless.
Tara was not specific, and I had to bring up she just said Supreme Court. I gave the specifics.
Because you looked it up. I could have looked it up too. You don't know anything about it. You haven't read the case. You probably don't even remember the cases.
Okay.
Well, look, I like to break in here. Look,
Yeah,
if this CFPB goes, then there are alternatives, okay? And I think the Democrats could learn a lesson from this example of an alternative, and that would be, I heard about a bill that Bernie Sanders was trying to work with Josh Hawley on, which would cap interest rates on the credit cards at 10%, and that would be a law that came out of Congress. So, and I think that kind of speaks to the point of something that Elon said today. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't think that I didn't look at that press conference and say, what the awkward fuck is going on? The kid was there. It's like, and also I'd like to say to Marty, Elon's in the White House. That's where the office is. So it's almost like Trump dragged him and his son in there by the ear to do some explaining. But look, if Democrats want to reinvigorate their party, I think the biggest lesson to learn is that they're going to need to work across the aisle and start building coalitions. And what better time than now? I see MAGAs out there going, what the fuck's up with Gaza? What? I see cracks now. And Democrats need to be they need to take advantage of it and actually work across the aisle. And then maybe some leaders will emerge from that.
I actually, I'm in finance, okay? And like I said earlier, I hate the CFPB, but getting rid of it is not the answer. All right. It seems like when you start getting rid of AGs, when you start getting rid of just departments like the CFPB and just some of the guardrails that we have in place, why do you want to get rid of those guardrails? I mean, this is what I find problematic. The Republican Party is typically the party of quote unquote law and order. If you guys are the party, if this is truly a Republican administration and a true Republican administration, and it's the party of law and order, and they're on the side of law and order, you don't get rid of the guardrails. Okay, the inspector generals they look for fraud. Okay, if the courts tell you to do something, remember you're law and order. Okay, the courts represent law. Okay, that's what they interpret law. Okay, and order, so and you disregard court orders. So it just you can't have it both ways. You guys can't have it both ways. You guys can't be law and order, okay, but also then be reckless renegades. Okay, getting rid of all of the guardrails. This does nothing to help us as a country, as a nation, and I frankly I'm just appalled. I'm surprised that this is being defended by so many people. So, and then when I hear, people that I respect come off mic and say things like Eric just did, it's like, whoa, it can be replaced with something else. It was put there because it was needed. All right. I've seen what it looked like without the PFP. I was in the business, okay, when we were able to do so much to consumers, where we were able to show up, and change things, right before the settlement, and people had to close on their homes. And next thing you know, if you don't have the money, you can't close. And, they implemented a lot of things that made our lives a lot more difficult, but it cleaned up our industry, cleaned up our business. You don't look at the mortgage guy like you used to look at the mortgage person. The mortgage person like, oh my God, you gotta go deal with these people. You don't even think about it. It gave the mortgage industry a much cleaner reputation. So, when I sit here and I listen to you guys and you're like, oh, consumers don't need protection. But then you guys are gonna start crying and complaining and say that you should have been protected. Okay, and that's exactly what happened last time when we didn't have that department. You guys start crying like how you wasn't protected. How you guys went out there and got those pick a payment loans, the negative amortization loans. Okay. Probably one of the greatest inventions out there. The consumers knew about it. They misused it, okay? And they cried that they were treated unfairly, but no, you weren't treated unfairly. You just paid the lowest payment. So once again, I think the department is there. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But I would hate it even more to see it go away because I've seen what happens when it's not there. So that's how I feel about it. Rochelle, you want to jump in because I know you were trying to jump in a little while ago.
Yeah, so Wayne, the CFPB actually has an Office of Inspector General, you know, those good people that Donald Trump is getting rid of, and they have oversight. So to say that there's just a director and there's no one that's over him, they have inspector generals and stuff for that particular agency. So that's number one. Number two, Eric, in reference to what you're saying about the Democrats should reach across the aisle, I think we did that, and that's why you got a spending bill, because Republicans wouldn't get in line so that these agencies could be funded. Secondly, you also mentioned earlier about have anyone contacted their Democratic leaders. Well, guess what? The Democrats, through the House oversight, tried to have a hearing on this and to actually haul Elon Musk into the hearing to question him and even wanted to subpoena him. Guess what happened? The Republicans blocked it so that he could not be called in. The Democrats are showing up to the actual agency doors and trying to get into the agency buildings that Elon Musk has his little hands into. And then we're using the attorney generals and also the nonprofit organizations and the unions. They're all suing. And guess what? They're winning. They literally are winning. So don't say what Democrats are doing here, Democrats are doing there. We actually are in action. We are the minority, but we definitely are taking it to the majority, trying to make something happen for the American people, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who's most impacted. These little red states, guess what happened? They're calling their members of Congress and their senators, and they're getting upset because guess what? A lot of federal jobs are in red states. So these people are being impacted by what Donald Trump is doing. Alan.
Who's suing and how many of these cases have been won? Since you're saying so many are suing and winning.
Every case so far, there's probably been about, 20 to 40. Every case so far that has had a decision except for one has gone against the government, as far as I'm aware.
Secondly,
now, this is federal funding freezes. Today they said you had to put websites, language back on websites, on health websites. There's the one about USAID, which is saying you cannot just dismiss 2,400 employees. That's still, they're still being looked at. There's the one about whether the request to, whether getting rid of all federal employees, that buyout offer, whether that was legal or not. I'm missing a whole bunch, but they've been sued by a number of different people. So far, all the courts have said, except I think there was one by the Labor Department where they said they didn't have standing, something to do with the Labor Department. But every court, and now we have the first, as I said, we have the First Circuit Court decision, which is upholding the federal, saying you can't just freeze previously authorized spending.
Gotcha. Okay. Yo, JB, you were talking about the CFPB and how you said you don't like it, but you're glad it's there. You remember the times where it didn't exist. For the way it currently stands, would you agree that it maybe needs some work, maybe needs some looking into, seeing if there's can be some revised in a way? What do you think? Or do you think it's just perfect the way it is, doesn't need to be messed with, or anything like that? What's your thoughts on that? I'm not talking about getting rid of it. Remember, I'm not speaking in regards to getting rid of it. I'm speaking in regards to giving it some work, tweaking it a little bit.
Here's the deal, Marty. If you got a car that's running fine, you can go look at it and you can say, okay, I got 93% oil life left. Let me go change it. Even though I got 93% oil life left.
93% though? Come on.
No, I'm just saying, bro. So when you start talking about tweaking it, I could check the tire pressure, and whatever. It's not just here. So listen, it's rolling. It's doing what it's supposed to do. I hate it. Okay.
Why?
And everyone in my industry, we hate it. So it's doing something right. All right, it's doing something right, and so when they said, hey, when they were first talking about the CFP, I'm like, hand on us. I hate it. I hell no. But now it is what it is. That's just that's like asking criminals, do we want to you want to get rid of the police? and then they're like, shit, excuse my language, hell, that'd be great when I go out and commit crime, but who's going to come when crime is being visited upon myself, and so,
I'm a crackhead.
So what I'm saying here is, guys, that philosophy that you guys are using to justify this, it just doesn't stand. It doesn't, it's just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Skull, you want to jump in, Skull?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that, the question Marty brings isn't what happened, right? That's in a fictional world where they came in and tried to reform it. The reality we live in, they already shut it down, and there's nothing on the horizon. There's nothing in sight that indicates they're going to replace it. They're going to bring something else in, right? And remember, like, before this happened, like, I went to college in the early 2000s, right? And when you walked on campus, there were 3 or 4 credit card companies there signing up, 18-year-olds. I see you're nodding, Marty. That got stopped. And one of the things that stopped that was the consumer protection, the CFPB, right? And so, yeah, I think they are imperfect. They probably could have done with a reform. But, I don't think throwing the entire thing out is the way to go if you don't have a replacement in mind, right? I think people would feel a lot more confident with DOGE's changes if we knew what step number 2 was. Because right now we're only seeing step number 1. And if you don't tell me what step number 2 is, I'm going to assume you don't have one, right? And that's it.
No, 100%. That's exactly why I posed that question just like that to JB, because I'm not for completely getting rid of it, but some form of reform, then maybe people will at least open their eyes to seeing the possibilities. Go ahead, JB.
No, hey, JB, JB, real quick, I wanted to make a clarification real quick on my statement. This is Eric. I said that if it goes, it goes. And I'm not saying that I'm a proponent of it going, and I actually do see the benefits of it over the long term. Before I was so much independent, I was a lot more of a left-leaning person. So I'm just saying, if it does go, we still have to try to get these kind of things passed through law and protections passed through law. And if they're not, because what they're signaling is they're going to do away with bureaucracy. And I think Elon Musk was really clear that is a big aim of what they're doing, is to eliminate bureaucracy. And so the question would be, could you actually save money by not funding a whole bureau, by just enacting the laws and having the Congress do the job they're supposed to do? Now, I know that's naive to think in the current situation that could get done. There's a lot that goes into doing legislation. But I have a question for anybody who's like a real professional on the CFPB. How do they when they put a rule into place? For example, the one about, because I remember that I think my first credit card was 96. It was on the college campus, Citibank, right? So that went away. That was a good thing. How does the CFPB enforce their regulations in the industry? Can anybody explain that to me, how that process works? Because I'm a little bit blind on that, and I bet a lot of people are.
Yeah. So anyway, what they do is they make recommendations to the Justice Department. All right. They do an investigation. And after they do the investigation, they make recommendations to the DOJ. All right, and the DOJ can come in and prosecute the case if they find that they should prosecute the case. So that's what happens here, guys. And so what I don't understand. Anyone else want to speak to that before I move on?
Yeah, just real quick. On the other side of that, it's consumer complaints. So it's a complaint system. You have to make a complaint in order for them to log it, and then
similar to like the FCC, because that's how the FCC would work back in the day.
But it's both ways. In other words, they do conduct routine investigations of banks, things like that, and then they see if they're complying with consumer protection laws and stuff like that, and they can then refer cases for enforcement if they find that. But also they do investigate consumer complaints.
Yes, and just before passing it right back to JB, Tara, and anyone else at some point, maybe not tonight, but there's actually been lawsuits with regards to CFPB. I believe it was in 2022. The Fifth Circuit found that their unique self-funding scheme was unconstitutional. So there's a lot going on.
And then the Supreme Court already said that it was constitutional.
I get it. And you know what?
In 2024.
You know what, Tara? You know what Trump said today in that press conference? He said, bring it. He said, I know we're going to
bring it, baby.
And we're going to get sued back and we're going to appeal. So, I love how it's been explained that every single lawsuit has been won with the government against Trump. Yeah, but he's ready to appeal. They don't care. They said, bring it, and everyone's watching.
Diana, what does that have to do with you raising a circuit court case that was overturned?
Because there's
it was actually overturned
against you. Bring it, Tara.
You know what, Tara? Because there's a lot of evidence there that I'm sure is going to be brought back to make a claim for, at the very least, a restructuring of some of these agencies. It's got to, something's got to give, right? So again, I'm all for it. I know that you brought up, I'll land real quick, JB. She mentioned the Gulf of America. I just want to say this because we didn't cover it after Super Bowl. Shout out to America's VIP MVP, because while Trump was on that plane to go to the Super Bowl, he signed that executive order changing it from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. So there you go.
Yeah, whoopee, man, that got us.
Do you understand how silly that is? Because basically, so in America, we're going to have to call it Gulf of America, and apparently we're going to censor people who don't call it Gulf of America. But all over the world, they will either call it Gulf of Mexico, or if you're a Google Maps thing, you'll put Gulf of Mexico and then in paren Gulf of America, because America. Do you understand how literally there's no subject?
It's kind of how people still call X Twitter.
You can call it what you want, just know the official name.
That's a fact.
One second,
and that would be the Gulf of Mexico.
1 second, please. 1 second, please. Guys, you guys are getting a little bit rambunctious here. Listen to me. Here's the concern here I have, guys. We're getting rid of all of, and I said this before, why are we going after, we have a businessman that have products. Elon, he's a businessman. Okay, that's handling this, and we're getting rid of everything that will pose a roadblock to his financial endeavors. All right, hell, we have him even looking into departments that was investigating him. So when you look at that, and it just doesn't make sense. So I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, like, as you guys are like all high-fiving each other, your rights are being stripped. Okay. And you guys complaining about the Patriot Act. You guys complaining about the Pfizer court. You guys complaining about all that. What's happening right now? See, what you don't understand is Donald Trump has 4 years in office. The changes that he's trying to make to the government right now will take more than 4 years, okay, to fix. All right? There's no... we got rid of it, and it's going to take more than 4 years to fix all the changes he's trying to do.
You're thinking like Joe Biden, man.
Yeah. Eric, 1 second. Okay, he has 4 years is what he has. All right, but you guys are applauding all these changes. All right, he's not doing this stuff slowly. He has too many things, too many balls in the air, and you guys are making excuses for it. So that's, I'm sitting there and wondering, what is it that Donald Trump has over you guys? What spell has he cast over you guys? Because there's no other president before or any after him. Donald Trump, as I said, will be go down in history as the most consequential president that we ever had. And, everything that he's doing, all the precedents that he's setting right now, okay, will be one day be used to destroy our democracy, or hopefully someone repairs it, okay? Because he's doing a lot of things, and you guys are okay with him doing it. Remember, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there past 4 years. I don't care what you guys say about trying to give him an extra term. That's not going to happen. So with that being said, I land. Eric, you want to jump in and go ahead?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Jonathan. I mean, first of all, like what you're talking about is incrementalism, and incrementalism walked out of the White House with Joe Biden. And just to be clear, I didn't even vote for Trump. I don't think that any sort of worship or cult like behavior towards the president is a good idea. But it is what it is, and Donald Trump never ran on being an incrementalist. And so for you to say, oh, these things take a long time, why? Why do they take a long time? Is it because you're just used to what we lived through with Joe Biden for 4 years, who is like an avowed incrementalist, or what? Because this is not incrementalism that's happening. This is like revolutionary sort of movement that they're doing. And it's scary. I mean, I even think it's fucking scary, to be honest with you.
So
But
Eric,
it's happening.
can I just ask you a question? So if it turns out that 50 to 60% of these things that Trump is doing are illegal, violate laws, and as we know, Congress is supposed to basically authorize spending and has done so. And Donald Trump's trying to block spending that Congress has already authorized, which is, according to everything I've ever read, illegal. Can't do it. President can't impound funds, do things like that. If it turns out that we are going through so much of this tumult, and then it turns out the Supreme Court says, no, you got to respect the constitutional balance of checks and balances. Is it worth it? Is it really a good idea to put the government at every single 3 million, employees of the government, many of whom are doing good jobs and don't know what they're doing anymore? You think it's all worth it for this sort of chaos?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that it's all worth it. It proves that there's a check there because, these federal judges are starting to rule against these activities that they're doing in the White House with DOGE. And the thing is, we all have to take a deep breath, as I'm sure you know, and just wait till it does go to the Supreme Court. When and if they go against the Supreme Court, that's when we have a constitutional crisis on our hands, But up till now, I believe Trump has a record of backing down once the Supreme Court puts him in his place.
So Eric, 1 second. You're saying that the Supreme Court is the only court that matters?
Well, all I know is that there are certain things. There are certain rulings that federal judges have made that they're ignoring right now, and they're trying to fast track some of these cases to the Supreme Court as fast as possible. Am I wrong?
Matters the most.
Yeah, listen to me. Okay, all right. When we have stupidity, because I think stupidity has now entered the conversation.
Wait, are you talking to me?
No. Someone else just said the Supreme Court matters the most. Like that the rulings of the lower courts can be dismissed. I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna pass on that free throw. All right, I'm gonna pass on that free throw. Because that was just the most ignorant shit I've heard. And he obviously failed civics, whoever said that. Oh, it's Marty who said it. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on because I'm listening to this. Guys, listen to me. Elon, first and foremost, when you have someone that has not been elected, someone that has not been truly vetted by Congress, for the position to come in. And pretty much, if you look at it, DOGE is more powerful than any other administrative office that we have, okay? If it has oversight over all the departments, then it's essentially a cabinet position, all right? And all that power is handed to one person, unfeathered, unchecked, okay? And he did not go through a confirmation hearing.
So, I hear you on that, JB. One question for you. One question. How many times have you heard tales of Congress passing mega spending bills that have all sorts of pork in them, and they talk about how many thousands of pages the bills are, and nobody voted on the fucking bill? Excuse my French. How many? You've heard that story, right? Shouldn't we look back and see what happened?
Eric, if no one voted on the bill, then we have nothing to worry about. You said no one voted on the bill. So if no one voted on the bill, then we have nothing to worry about.
Wait, what are you talking about? I'm saying, how many times have you heard that people voted on bills that they didn't even read in Congress?
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't clear enough. How many times have you heard the story that a congressman said, we had to vote for this, but we couldn't even read it because it came at such a late time. So lots of times these congressmen, they are lobbied heavily, and then they are signing things and that they don't even know what they're signing. So, is it a bad thing to go find out what the hell's going on and where the money's really going if our congressmen can't keep up with the pace of the legislation?
Why would we put? What makes Elon the person to do that? Well,
I will tell you that what my understanding of why Elon is the person to do that is because Elon is the type of guy who is very wrapped up in data and knows how to deal in data with all of his companies. I mean, from manufacturing and he made a mess of Tesla when he really first tried to build it, and then he had to go retool the full manufacturing process. Based on the failure, we're talking about full self-driving. Do you know how much data goes into doing that? We're talking about space travel. You know how much data that goes into that? So these people are not only, this guy is dealing not only in travel, space travel, defense. He's dealing in data, and so I think that
travel.
I think there is something. I think there is something that qualifies there.
No, but travel, space travel, that's not government.
Yeah, right. But what I'm saying is that they're going through data. They're like they're going through the minutia and finding.
No, he's making recommendations that's being followed and implemented.
That's true.
Okay, so that's not government. All right, government affects lives. Okay, hell, if I don't want to drive a Tesla, I don't have to drive a Tesla. If I don't want to freaking go to space, I don't have to go to space. Okay, but I do have to live with the results of what Elon has done, with this DOGE. And let's say this right here. Initially DOGE was what? Elon and Vivek, right? And all of a sudden Vivek is gone. There's really no oversight there at all. There's only one person. I mean, that means that if there's anything that is horrible, it doesn't have to be exposed. I'm talking about horrible. If they're doing something crazy, it doesn't have to be exposed. You got these kids doing it. Hell, you guys call them the best and the brightest. But hey, guys, welcome to Debate the News, guys. If you guys haven't done so, up top in these rooms, you guys, we have a link for our podcast. Okay. And what I will ask that each and every one of you do is go to that podcast and actually go to that link up top and follow the podcast. Follow the podcast, and not only follow it, download some episodes and let the people know. Let us know that you're here. And so I put the link up. There you go. There it is. It's now on both platforms. So follow the podcast. Make sure that you are download some episodes, man, and leave a review. Let us know what you think. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, TuneIn, iHeart, Amazon, and anywhere else, Overcast, what have you. Guys, do me a favor. You guys come join us. We actually record these podcasts live nightly, pretty much, on the Chatter Social app. That's Chatter Social. And the website is chattersocial.io. You can download the app either on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. So once again, folks, if you're in the room, please do us a favor. We definitely would love to have your support. We are, it's like we were trying to grow this thing so it could just go worldwide. We want to share this with everyone. So make sure you guys go up top, follow the podcast, download a few episodes, and leave us a review. So with that being said, I want to go back and Tara, the EU. Before I do that, Skull
I want to jump in for a second, TJ.
Okay, so all right. You know what? I'm going to go to Rochelle, our female, and then we're going to go to Skulls. Go ahead, Rochelle.
Yeah, just another point of clarification for Eric. Eric, the way that it worked with the spending bills is that each member have legislative teams, legislative staffers that have portfolios, and the portfolios have the agencies as well as the issue areas. So they have literal expert staffers who actually help draft, create, read, understand, and guide them. There's not any member of Congress on the House or Senate side that go it alone. That's why they have entire teams. That's what I need to say, John. Thanks.
Oh, that's a good point, but
yeah, let's go. Jump in. Let's go.
So I'm just going to say I've heard a lot of criticism of DOGE and the team, and I think a lot of that's merited. I personally agree with it, But, here's the other side of it, just from what I'm hearing, right? Like Mike Johnson came out and he spoke today. If I'm taking this guy at face value, he's saying that one of the things that they've had a hard time with is actually getting these agencies to really respond to congressional inquiries. And if you know a lot about the federal government, you know that they will bury you in data, right? They will just send you like literally dollies filled with papers, right? And all kinds of crap, right? It's actually pretty good to get a machine learning team and an AI team in there and to do it at the choke points of where all the data is coming through, right? Which is accessing the IT systems. And so, here's my thing. Congress has broad power to investigate. In fact, their power to investigate includes anything they can legislate in the Constitution. And if Congress is truly feeling like they haven't been getting answers on the things that they've been funding, you got to do something, right? And, maybe it's not like this, but it has to be something similar because, Congress is owed those answers, right? That's part of our Constitution and part of their power when they appropriate those funds is they're supposed to have transparency on them.
I respond.
So let me add something to that, Jonathan. So, Skull, I'm a director of constituent services. So I oversee services that constituents have with all of the federal agencies, every last one of them in my portfolios. So that's not the case. They definitely do respond to congressional inquiries, and then we have legislative congressional inquiries. We do that as a team, and they respond to those inquiries. So I don't know where you're getting that information from that you just stated, but that's not the case.
He's saying he got it from Mike Johnson, which of course is funny because Mike Johnson is definitely supporting Donald Trump and everything that he does, and so that is at least somewhat suspect as a rationale. What I will say is, and I don't think anybody has any objection to someone coming in and saying, why is this spending happening? What is this program? Should we get rid of it the next time around? Why did Congress authorize it, etc.? That seems to me to be a good thing, right? Because we do have a lot of waste in pork and Congress gets away with a lot, right? But what I have a problem with is that person categorizing things without having a legal background, because he clearly doesn't and he doesn't care, saying this is criminal, the courts should be impeached, the judges should be impeached. This is what he's been doing the entire time. If he were being, let's just say, even-handed or just saying, what is this program? This bothers me, it doesn't look right. But he is basically putting pejorative language in front of it. Criminal, horrible, kickbacks, waste, things that he has no way of proving and probably no way of even knowing. That is a problem. Number two, what he has also done is seemingly convinced President Trump to freeze things, to disrupt lives, and they probably is not the way to do this legally, right? So when you basically say, okay, I'm getting rid of this, I'm getting rid of this, I'm freezing this, you have impacted people's lives. In fact, we know that some of the aid that was supposed to go to Africa, that was already was supposed to go prepaid for, etc., but they just hadn't gotten all the money. It was stopped. Some of it probably never got where it needed to go, and people probably died. And that probably wasn't a legal action. So what I'm trying to say is this isn't, I think someone said it before, it's not a business. The United States government is not a business per se. It's a country which is supposed to support and help its citizens, even if it doesn't always turn a profit in doing so. And we have to treat this differently than Elon Musk coming in and saying, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. This is criminal, this is terrible, because that's what he's doing. And I don't think anybody's well served by that. We could do this in the right way. And then you go back to Congress and say, don't authorize this again. This is terrible. And then people would actually have input into programs. But right now, we're not allowed to do that because there really isn't accountability on the part of Elon Musk.
Wazoo. Okay. Anyone else wants to jump in on this?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in, Jonathan. What does she mean that the United States is not a business? It's literally a corporation. And you started off great, Trish. I don't have an issue with you.
It's Taylor. Tara, not Trish.
I'm sorry.
Tara, not Trish. Go ahead.
Tara. Okay. Well, basically a multitasking, but yes, it is a business. And this guy's a billionaire. And if he's in there talking money about a business that's not been run properly, then who better to have to fit that bill? I don't get what you're saying. You said originally that if these are slush funds and there's too many things, we need to cut out the fat. Money has been allocated. We're literally in trillions of dollars of debt. If somebody that knows money as well as this guy comes in and say, this is not good, we need to cut this out, we need to slash this, I don't have an issue with that. I'm sure it's going to hurt some people, but how many Americans have been hurt as well, too, over an extended period of time?
Terry, you want to respond to that?
This concept that the United States is a business. Now, a business, is it a corporation? I think technically, but that's irrelevant because what is a country? A business, the main thing is to protect your shareholders, to make the most profit for your shareholders, right? To make the most profit. Is that the United States? Is that our purpose? Is that a country's purpose? No, it's not. It is to protect our borders, let's just say. It is to help our citizens. And a lot of times we do not do the most profitable thing. We do the thing that's right for our citizens, and we should, because that is in fact the business of the United States. It's not just to make a profit. That's nonsense. It is to help people. It is to lift up people. It is to create opportunities for people. And sometimes that requires us spending money that you wouldn't spend in a business, right? So to me, I think that's a nonsensical point and really shows that, I don't agree with that. And I don't think you're right about that. Like I said, if Elon Musk were laying out things, just laying them out without putting terms on them, saying, I saw this, I don't think this is right. Something like that. Or what are we paying for here? Or give us the names of the people he says are 150 years old on Social Security saying this needs to come, this needs to go out. Yes, there are things that are he should be doing, but basically doing things that are probably against the law, that's not what he should be doing because look at the results. Look at people's lives that are, Daphne, you seem to be having a problem with something I'm saying, or else you don't like your coffee, but I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that's not what he should be doing. He is not God. Okay, he doesn't know the law. He's actually a person who, if you read him, if you watch him on X, he's like a 14-year-old in terms of his sense of humor and some of the awful things he says. And he does say awful things. He says defamatory things. He's wrong about a lot. And for you to act as if this guy is like the be-all and end-all is a problem. He can lay things out. Why isn't he transparent about the people who work for him? Why isn't he transparent about his own dealings with the government? Why isn't he saying, I have all of these conflicts, so I'm not going to look into the NASA or Defense Department or things like that? Why isn't he doing that? Why are we not asking him to do that? He's not doing it because nobody's making him and he doesn't want to. He thinks he's above the law, and that is a problem.
To the young lady's point that spoke earlier, you're absolutely correct that it is a business. It's ran like a business. We've had this debate recently. So, if we want to get into specifics, it may not be labeled as a corporation, but if you look into it, it actually operates just like a business. So the Democratic Party, which was literally in office previously, with all the things that they were doing with the illegal immigrants and all the issues that we were having, that is not how you run a business. And Trump is a businessman.
Yeah, but one thing, guys, we're talking about DOGE right now. You guys talking about the United States being a business. I think we're going down those little rabbit holes that we used to go on another platform. But go ahead, Wayne, with your land. But we're not going down that rabbit hole. Go ahead.
So with Trump and Elon Musk in office, stepping in and doing what they need to do with DOGE, because again, you always hear, we typically hear that there's an issue in the United States with our finances, with the debt, the deficit, everything that's going on. And every time someone gets in office, no one goes to the core of the problem. The core is that the institution is infested with wasteful spending. And he actually said, let's reverse this process. Let's go at the core and find out where we're wasting money within the government.
And Dr. Wayne, just to add one quick thing on that too. When is the last time the United States has had a balanced budget? If you look back to
Wasn't it under Bill Clinton?
It was under Bill Clinton. You're exactly right, Tara. And that should be scary to all of us in this room, which means every single year after that balanced budget, we've been in a deficit, and we've been operating there ever since. So when you're a $37 trillion in debt country, there has to be some point that is a breaking point that says you need to start investigating and holding accountability to the people who spend the government's money and America's money. Without that accountability, we fail as a country, as a nation, and as a world leader. And that's exactly where we were headed. And hopefully, Maybe if it's not as orthodox as everybody likes or as legal as Tira likes, I understand her point. Yes, we want to do it legally. Yes, we need to do it line by line. But by God, people, we're 30 years away from a balanced budget. The last time it was budgeted and balanced. And you know what? We need to get back to that for fiscal responsibility to stay out of the American taxpayer pocket.
You're saying we cannot do this without breaking the law. Is that your view of it?
No, I'm saying you have to do it in a disruptive fashion. I'm not saying you should break the law, Tira. I'm saying that this is the only time where we've had a president step up to actually disrupt and finally hold his correct. Hang on.
Stopped him from
Tira,
doing it the way I
hang on a second. Nobody has stepped up. No politician and no president has stepped up to hold our Congress accountable in the way that they appropriate and spend money. And that's a big issue when most, and I'm not talking about all of them, but most congressmen and women have their hands and get kickbacks from the way that they spend and earmark money. It's about time that we get that out of politics and give it back to the American people.
I have a question for Storm. Did Bill Clinton break the government?
One second. Tara, go ahead. You were saying something, and Storm, like, hold on.
What I was going to say is my suggestion was lay it out, bring it out, have a website that literally says, I found this, and this. What are these programs for? Why are we doing it? And yes, force Congress to account for some of the spending that you do not like. But it has gone much. First of all, we don't even have that. We do not have that website. We do not have that accountability. We just have Elon Musk saying, I found all this stuff, right? That's what we have. So that's a little ridiculous, because if you're going to do it, you should be laying everything out and make it very clear so that people can understand it. This program did not Elon Musk's view of what he thinks is legal or not, because he has no legal training. And I'm telling you right now, half the stuff he says is nonsense. Okay, you need someone there with maybe a lawyer saying this program is X, this is what it's doing. Do we like this? What is wrong with doing it the right way?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing it the right way, Tira. Here's the problem. If you're going to have one person do it and then go give it to Congress, what do you think Congress is going to do when they have their hands in that fishbowl? They're literally pulling from that pot of money. So do you think Elon is doing this all by himself? I mean, really, he has a team of people. He has a team of attorneys. He's not this Lone Ranger and some rogue guy who's basically the mouthpiece to say, I'm going to find this myself without anybody's help, and then I'm going to tell you what's wrong and what's criminal. That is not the case. You guys are painting it like this is ultimately one guy. This is a very large team, including Trump's team, including other people in politics and in government. You believe that he can do this by himself when he's never had any government experience? Come on. He's got people in Congress on the Republican side helping him.
Storm, that's the pervasive narrative in the left-wing media right now, and everybody's freaking out on it. And I mean, it's been said by Trump himself that he's like the last man standing on it. You know, he's told the media that Elon doesn't do anything without his okay. And it's like this, you know, I just think that there is such a lust to hate billionaires just in general with a lot of people in this country, that they just automatically think that they're robber barons and that they're out to steal from the poor. And it's just, it's kind of crazy that, because it's been told that he is not like just off on his own thing, you know, wreaking havoc. There actually is a process. I mean, Trump's chief of staff alone, I'm sure she's involved, and I'm sure they have counsel involved. I mean, he's right there in the White House. I mean, somebody today spoke, and I don't even think he realized that the office is literally in the White House. So, the media narrative is really infecting people's brains, I think.
So there's no narrative.
Go ahead. 1 second. Carlos, are you there?
Hey, good evening. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm on top of the world, my friend. Let's go.
Great, great conversation, and I think that we can all agree that there's something fundamentally wrong with our government, with the massive amount of fraud and spending that takes place. But I think overall there's still a structure that has to be maintained within the balance of powers, and I think that's important to understand in terms of where do we go from here, and does this establish a dangerous precedent for future presidents? And in this situation, Trump is doing exactly what he told his supporters he was going to do. He's doing it. He didn't hide any of it. He said, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go after it. This is what's going to be done." It doesn't mean that it's right. So I think fundamentally we have to get back to the idea that just because the person that you're supporting in office is doing these things, what happens the next time? The next time that someone else forms a different, not necessarily a branch of government, but this type of oversight that happens. I like the idea of being strategic about it. Obviously, there's a failure here to legislate. Johnson coming out today, and it was kind of laughable. He comes out because he's the one that signed off on the last couple of congressional spending bills that have greenlit this type of activity that's taken place. So how do we dial back? I'm questioning whether this is the right way to go about it, because at the end of the day, I'm not seeing where we're doing any type of asset seizures of all these people that committed this crime, this fraud. We don't see that. It's not transparent the way that it should be in order to hold these people accountable for their actions. And I'll land it there.
Good stuff. To call us, where are you from? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm from Carmel, Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, gotcha.
Indiana, yeah,
Red
yeah,
state.
absolutely, yeah. And again, a great conversation, Jonathan. Keep up all the great work that you and your team are doing there. So great job, man.
No, absolutely appreciate you. Glad you're here. First time really hearing you speak, so that's why I wanted to get to know you guys. Believe it or not, if you guys are listening, some of us have been speaking in these rooms for approximately 4 years, going on 4 years. So it's just we got to know each other just from all different backgrounds, and we come here, we have these conversations, and we debate the news every night. If you guys want to join us, we do it on a Chatter Social app, which can be downloaded from the App Store or the Google Play Store. And come on in, guys, debate the news. We do it nightly, approximately 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, we just have this conversation. So, when you hear us speaking to each other, even though it's hundreds of people here at times, we pretty much know one another, and we're from all over the country, all over the world. So that's what I enjoy about it. We don't try to go left. We don't try to go right. And we don't try to stay in the middle. Hell, I wanted to go right sometimes. I wanted to go left sometimes, because we're not looking for equality. We're looking for a conversation here where everyone's voice is heard. And if your voice just happens to be the loudest that day, then, and your point happens to be the one that is the most, resonate the most, then, hey, you know what? But the thing is, we always come back the next day and do it all over again. Rochelle, oh, my man, Andrew, how you doing, Andrew?
Oh. Hey, guys, I just, I've been listening to y'all for a little bit, trying to read the room. I'm really proud of everyone for not going off the rails on this and staying on topic. But I've been following the news pretty hard today because a lot happened. Okay, I've been reading the chat. Y'all have been